In this video, I want to talk about putting a new motor, on my 1959 Spartan by Singer. Now, the Spartans were sold very simply. They came in a plastic base, not a case, and they did not come with any attachments or anything. Very simple one-sheet instructions, and just as you see it there, with a motor on the back. And there is the original motor. Now, this machine, when I bought it, obviously was used, and the motor bracket had broken, and they had repaired it. And the motor does run, but it sounds very scratchy and needs to be lubed. And I don't generally get involved with fixing motors. Another thing that had happened, that often happens, is the base had cracked. So they had bolted support pieces on the inside. So they fixed what got broken, and I've been using this machine as a hand crank for about a year. And I decided I'm trying to have a table of electrics. You can see this is the 237 from Vermont. I have a 237 from Michigan, and then I have my grandmother's 9913 at the end. And just for a while, I'm going to actually work with 6 electrics, actually. I also have a 1591, and I have the Brother LX3014. The treadles are also set up over there, and I'm working on those too, but this is a table of electrics. So I decided to get a new motor for the Spartan, and I could have looked for a vintage motor to put on there, but I decided to buy a new one. Now, this is the same motor that I put on the Singer Model 6616 that went to my nieces, and it's very easy to install. And the first thing I have to do is open the box up. Okay, and this is how it comes. It's got a little instruction sheet. It's got a toothed belt. It should have spare carbon brushes in there, and it looks like a motor mounting belt. And then on top of that, you have your foot pedal. Kind of a nice metal foot pedal. Looks like the vintage Singer pedals. And there's the cord, and this plug will plug into the motor itself. There's a mounting receptacle. There's a receptacle on the motor bracket right there. And that is the motor. So very simple, and these are the steps. I'm going to use a simple screwdriver to loosen the motor bolt on the Spartan, which will allow me to remove the whole thing. With the Singer original motors, the cords go right into the motor. So as soon as I get that bolt off, I will be loosening the motor. Then I can slip the belt off the pulley, and then the belt off the hand wheel, and just remove the whole motor assembly. Let me just adjust the camera here so you can see what I'm doing. So as I said, the first step is just to loosen the motor bolt. Now, even though the new motor came with a bolt, I'm going to use the old one. It looks like it's a little bit longer than the new one. So there goes the belt off the hand wheel. And here comes the Singer motor, the foot pedal, the cords, everything, right off the machine. Now at this point, if I were putting on a hand crank, I would have to remove the hand wheel and put a spoked hand wheel on and then mount the hand crank here. But instead, I'm going to mount the new motor. Now, I want to show you something you might have to adjust. You see how these two bolts, I'll back it up. There's about almost 1/4 of an inch here. when you go to mount the motor on the machine, if you need to move the motor out a little bit and keep it from hitting the back of the machine, you just loosen these two nuts and move the bracket to the left. But let's, on the last one, I did have to do that. Let's see if I'll have to do that on this one. And this is the trickiest part, is just getting that bolt to be straight. So I'm going to, I'll just use an adjustable wrench. I'm going to move those out a little bit. Just takes a second to loosen those nuts and pull the bracket this way. And so now you can see that any space there is now at this end and not at the other end. And it just gives a little extra room for the motor in the back not to hit the pillar of the machine. Now before I tighten that up, the belt is toothed on has teeth on both sides, so it doesn't matter which way you put it on there. I have it in the belt groove. And that is either a short belt or it needs to be stretched a little bit. That is a really short belt. It seems short. It looks like it's about the same length as the Singer belt, but look at that. That doesn't... I don't really want the motor sitting that crooked. So I'm going to use the old belt on the new motor. And this bolt may be actually too long for the way they have the bracket. In other words, they have a thinner bracket on there than the original Singer bracket. And they have a lock washer, which I'll put on the bolt before I put it into the hole. So there we go, and that's it. That's it for replacing a motor. I may even see if that other belt, if the belt that came with it is actually long enough. It just seemed awfully short there. And since my old belt still has some use in it, I'm just going to use the old belt. Now all I have to do is plug the foot pedal into this receptacle and then plug the machine in. Now this is the same as the one before. What you want to do is, you'll see there's on the plug, 2 of the pin receptacles are separated from the other one. And that is going to go toward the bottom. Because if you look at the pins, the bottom pin is slightly more separate from the other 2. So, and here's the foot pedal. Nice metal foot pedal. So that took, what, 5 or 10 minutes to put a brand new motor on a sewing machine from 1959. And one of the main reasons I'm doing this is because I don't like to take chances with motors. I have absolutely no electrical experience at all. And I just never like risking anything electrical. So let's go ahead and see how this works. Now, it sounds a little bit rough to me, but not from the motor, from the bobbin area. And that could be because of the way the Spartan sits in the case. Because this is a plastic base, really, the machine is sometimes noisier because it's vibrating and it's plastic. And you don't notice that when you have it set up as a hand crank, which is the way I've been using it for about a year. So, and there's the foot pedal. Let's do this again. The foot pedal is very responsive. I have to adjust my tension, I think. No, maybe not. So there is a new motor. I will put the link in the information area. I paid, I think, $17.60 for what came in the box. And there's my 1959 Spartan with a new motor.